तत्परम्पर्यय विद्महे ज्ञानलिङ्गेश्वराय धीमहि तन्नो गुरुः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ योग महर्षि डॉक्टर स्वामी Giri गुरु महाराज की जय। ओम पुदुवै कलैमामणि पुदुवै शक्ति योगचारिणी अम्मा जी मीनाक्षी देवी भवनानी गुरु माता की जय। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। Namaste, Swagatam, Vanakkam, Bonjour, Buongiorno, Buonasera, Buonanotte, Huyamore, Boreda, Kiora, Salamat Pagi, Ayu Bhovan, Ayushman Bhava, Shubdinam, Suprabhad, Salom. Welcome. Yes, today is the 100th Scintillating Saturday, and for those in North America, Fabulous Fridays. A sigh of relief. You know, when you climb a peak, you're like, wow, one of those days. Thank you so much, everyone, for being part of this beautiful journey over the past 100 weeks where we have come together to look at so many concepts of yoga. When we started this, we had no idea how long it would go. There was no real end date as such. And as we went on, we found that we kept on hitting important milestones. And when I set out over the last few weeks working on the chakras, I was like, okay, we are just going to go through all of this. And I remember my dear Appu Ramanathanji asking me, what will be the special topic for the 100th Scintillating Saturday? Shatamanam, the 100th. And I said, well, I think I will just go through the chakras and just continue. And so it should have been Vishuddha today. And then as I was putting it together, suddenly I looked at a few things and I realized today, the 11th of June 2022 in Pondicherry, it is the Maha Samadhi day. It's a calendar date. In fact, a few weeks ago, the star date was there. What we call the Tithi was there. But the calendar date, 11th June, is the calendar date of the Maha Samadhi of our Siddha Guru at Sri Kambli Swami Madam, Srila Sri Shankaragiri Swamigal, who left his body, left the mortal coil behind on the 11th of June 1995. 11th of June 1995 and today 11th of June 2022, 27 years since his Maha Samadhi, one full minor cycle for those of you who understand Yantra. And I was like, this is just so astonishing that Shankaragiri Swamigal decided that he was to be the topic of the 100th day, because there's no other reason these things happen. And later this morning, I'll be going to Sri Kambli Swami Madam, where we'll be performing a very special puja for his Maha Samadhi day today. Shankaragiri Swamigal, a true Siddha yogi, he was the Madhadipati of Sri Kambli Swami Madam in Pondicherry. Now the Sri Kambli Swami Madam itself is believed to have originated at a place where sage Agastya, the Agastya Maharishi, we call him Agatya in Tamil, that Maharishi Agastya stayed, and there is document that Agastya stayed in Puducherry, in those days called Vedapuri, the city of the Vedas. What a beautiful name. You should have kept that. Vedapuri. Our Ishwaran temple, the Shiva temple, is called Vedapuri Ishwara. And at this site in Puducherry, it is believed that sage Agastya stayed with his consort Lopamudra, and in that holy site, the great Siddha, Srila Sri Kamblignana Desika Swamigal, did his tapasya, living more than 500 years, and leaving the body and being interned in the Samadhi by his successor, Ambalavana Swamigal. So, Kambli Swamigal left the body around 150 years ago. He was interned into the Samadhi by Ambalavana Swamigal. Ambalavana Swamigal was followed by Manikya Swamigal. And Manikya Swamigal is the one who actually created the madam with all the properties. Following Manikya Swamigal, we had Shanmuga Swamigal. Then there was a Velu Swamigal for a short time. And then Subramanya Swamigal. Now Subramanya Swamigal is our living link, because when Swami Gitananda Giri came to Pondicherry, he interacted with Subramanya Swamigal. And Swamiji, of course, said he had come once earlier to Puducherry and interacted with Shanmuga Swamigal. There was also a discussion on that at one time. But the main interaction was with Subramanya Swamigal. And Subramanya Swamigal had dual role. So right from the time of Subramanya Swamigal, this dual roles of all the Madhadhipatis came in. And so he used to be here in Puducherry at Kambli Swami Madam, and he used to also be in charge of another Madam of Nityananda Swami, not the present Nityananda guy, but a Nityananda Swamigal in Kozhipakam, a couple of hours away. And the Reddiya family from Kozhipakam still continue to be associated as devotees with the Madam because of that. Subramanya Swamigal was followed by Sri Shankaragiri Swamigal, the hero of today's story. Shankaragiri Swamigal, he was born on Christmas Day, 1900. And our own Swamiji used to always enjoy that, because Christmas in the ashram was always a special time. And Swamiji will cook a great lunch. And so we would invariably have Shankaragiri Swamigal with us here, and we would celebrate his birthday. And Swamiji would enjoy teasing him, because Shankaragiri Swamigal, despite his age, see, he left the body in 1995 at the age of 95. He was so fit. He was so fit, oh my God. He used to live in Karaikal, because we have a sister Madam there, Sri Rangaya Swamigal Madam. And so Shankaragiri Swamigal was taking care of Kambli Swami Madam and Sri Rangaya Madam in Karaikal. So he used to travel, and in those days it was a 5-hour journey. Now it's about 3.5 hours because the roads are better. It was at least a 5-hour journey, if not 6 by bus. He would come all by himself. He didn't need anybody's help. He ran the Madam there without anybody's help. In fact, he had about 20 people living off him. So a guy who's 90 plus with 20 people living off him, you can imagine that. That is the type of dynamism that our Siddha Guru had, Shankaragiri Swamigal. So Shankaragiri Swamigal, he was taking care of Kambli Swami Madam, and Swamiji Gitananda Giri had come to Pondicherry in 1967-68. And Shankaragiri Swamigal was watching Swamiji and invited him to many of the events at Kambli Swami Madam. So the Guru Pujas and other events. So Swamiji had got acquainted and used to visit the Madam, and Shankaragiri Swamigal and him started to have a very good bonding. And in 1973, during the Guru Puja at Kambli Swami Madam, in the middle of the puja, Shankaragiri Swamigal was not feeling well. And he requested Swami Gitananda Giri to continue the puja that day for him in 1973. And then over the next year or so, decided that he had found the best man for the best job. And he talked to Swamiji and he said, "You are to be here, and I am anointing you as the Madhadhipati." And so in 1975, Swami Geetananda Giri was anointed as the Madhadipati by Shankaragiri Swamigal. And Shankaragiri Swamigal said, you take care of this place. I am going to stay at Rengaya Madam in Karaikal. I will come and go and guide you, but you take care of it, because what Shankaragiri Swamigal used to tell me, and his influence in my life is unparalleled. Grew up with this amazing man. Okay? And he used to tell me, he said two things. Because he used to say, you know why I brought your father to Kamli Swami Madam? Sometimes I accuse him of spoiling everything by bringing Swamiji there, because I'm like, Swamiji would have, created such an amazing place wherever he was. And we got stuck in the karma of Kamli Swami Madam in a different way. But jokes aside, he used to say, do you know why I brought your father there? And he used to say, Ananda, Kamli Swamigal was an Ashtanga yogi. He was an Ashtanga yogi, and in fact is praised as Ashtanga Yoga Bhumi Karasagi. The emperor of the world of Ashtanga Yoga is how Kamli Swami was praised. But in between, the Madhadapatis who came in between, that aspect never caught on. That aspect died away and it became more ritualistic. And he said, your father, Swami Geetananda Giri, is the person who can once again restore that Ashtanga Yoga tradition back to the Kamli Swami Madam, which has been missed over the last many years. And he felt Swamiji would be able to recreate that world of Ashtanga Yoga that was ruled over by Kamli Swamigal. And definitely what he wanted has happened, no doubt about it. He also often felt that Swamiji, Geetananda Giri, was an incarnation of Kamli Swamigal. And he often said that to me. I don't think he ever told it to Swamiji. But we used to have a lot of talks, because, you see, growing up here, I knew Tamil. So he and we used to converse a lot, because, once you know the person's language, whereas with Swamiji, it was always through translators or heart-to-heart connection, because he didn't know any English. He had come from a goldsmith family, and at the age of 51, left everything and became Shankaragiri Swamigal. He was a master of Siddha Vaidya. And I remember that in his room, he would have all these old books of Siddha. And people would come to him and, Swamiji, I have a tummy ache. Swamiji, I have a headache. Swamiji, I overdosed on alcohol last week. Give me some medicine. Give me something to help me. And he always had something for people. He was amazing, and his knowledge of the herbs, his knowledge of alchemy was quite amazing. Again, one of those things that maybe if, he had lived longer, and if I had been a bit wiser earlier, I would have been able to learn more of these things. But it is very difficult. So he very much used to tell me that, டேய், உங்க அப்பா Kamli Swami தான், அதனால தான் இங்க வந்திருக்காரு. அப்படிதான். He used to tell me like that. Now, Swami Geetananda Giri had a different perspective, because Swamiji always felt that Kanakananda was an incarnation of Kamli Swami. And that is why he said that he had to be pulled back to Kamli Swami Madam. So Swamiji's version was Swami Kanakananda as the incarnation of Kamli Swami. But Shankaragiri Swamigal's version was Geetananda Giri was an incarnation of Kamli Swami. This was so many times, not once or twice. Now, from my young age, seeing him, and whenever he would visit the Madam, we would do puja together, and he'd tell me, this is how you should do this is not how you should, this should not be done, this should be done first, this is second. And he would say, well, in temples, they do it that way, because it is temple. But we are a Samadhi site. This is not a temple. Again and again he used to tell me, and this is why even today I correct so many people. They say Kamli Swami temple. I'm like, it's not Kamli Swami temple, it's Kamli Swami Madam. It is a sacred Samadhi site, and the way you do pujas for a Samadhi site are different than how you do it to a temple, though the lingam is there. So people think, oh, it's a Shiva lingam, you do pujas as per the Agama tradition in the temple. No, the pujas are done differently. And this he taught me. as a young man. He taught me how these pujas are different than what is done in the temple. Why are they different? Because the approach is towards the samadhi. What is the samadhi? It is our focal point for the energies of the Guru. That Jnana Linga, which is over the Guru, is our focal point. It is our focal point. And he used to teach all of these things many times. And I remember that I think the fun part of being with him used to be before the Kamli Swami pujas. He would come a week before that, and we would go shopping. So I think fun memories of Shankaragiri Swamigal are shopping with him, and he would be very miserly with money. Oh my God, seriously. Just the opposite of Swami Gitananda. Swami Gitananda was like, it costs 100 rupees. He's give the person 500 and say, I'll come back next time. We'll keep you keep the money. I'll come back next time. Shankaragiri Swamigal was like, make it 2 rupees, not 3. And cut that down. He was amazing. I tell you, he was really, really money smart in that way. And we used to go shopping. So for the puja, we would go to one place. We would sit there 1 hour. The guys would, in those days, serve you coffee, and he would have a good chat. How are you? How is your family? This, that. They would have all this chat. And then, we have the puja coming up. So we need, 6 meters of orange cloth and 3 meters of white cloth. And, we need this. And throw in a few towels. And now pack it here, Ananda, Ramani, Mahendra, and whoever would be there with us. Gajendra, and we would be there. So hold this bag. And so we'd have one bag. Then to the next shop where we'll go and buy all the Abhisheka items and this and that. Again, 1 hour of talking, having a cup of tea and chatting and all that, and bargaining and breaking the guy down. And the guy's like, Swamiji, please, if I make it any cheaper, I'll run my business out. And he says, don't worry, you will get the blessings of the Guru. Reduce it by another 10 rupees. It's amazing. It used to be lovely time. And in those days, we used to buy the flowers separately by kilos. Then you would hire 5 people, take it in a cycle rickshaw, take it to the madam, and then he would sit there and he's like, this has to be 3.5 feet and it has to be 12 inches thick. And now why is it only 10 inches? You made it 1/4 feet less. This is the size. Don't try to cheat me. I know what you're doing. And he would be so micromanagement on getting all the malas ready, and then ordering the prasadam and ordering all the items. Then we would visit the guys who do the pipe and the drum, the Nadaswara Vidwan, and sit with them. And again, that family is part of our tradition. All these became family traditions. And learning how to interact with people. He was an amazing interactor with people. He had amazing people skill. And everyone, really, really amazing skill. Now, when we talk of Shankaragiri Swamigal, there are 2 things which are very, very special. One is he had this long hair, knotted hair. Nowadays, you have these crazy guys running around with dreadlocks and they think they're very spiritual. It's not spirituality, it's another trip. He must have never cut his hair in his life. And it was, God knows, 4 or 5 meters long. It was crazy. When he would open it up, the knotted braids of hair, they would just go out, and Swamiji would enjoy, because whenever we had any other visitors, eminent visitors to the madam, and if Shankaragiri Swamigal was there, Swamiji would have him be there, and he would say, this is our Guru who's the Madhadipati before me, Shankaragiri Swamigal, and he'll say, Swamiji, please open your hair up, because he would have it in this round, big tie-up, so it would go 1 round, 2 round, 3 round, all around his head. And so he would untie it, and Swamiji would hold it and say, see how long it is. That is a very, very big, a highlight for Gitananda Swamigal was, showing people how long Shankaragiri Swamigal's hair went. Amazing it was. And the other thing about him was he never used to have a bath. So you're like, oh my God, he must have stunk. No, on the contrary, he had the sweetest of smell you could ever imagine. And this is where Maharishi Patanjali's statement about Saucha, purity. He was an amazing, pure human being. The purity is so much, it's not about cleanliness. That is why Saucha is not cleanliness, it is purity. We have to understand the difference between it. He was such a pure being, he didn't need to have this bath. He didn't need to have this bath that we all need. Because his body had that capacity to work on itself in a very subtle way. Saucha swa anga jugupsa. It is said, you don't worry about your body after you have attained the state of Saucha. And you don't worry about what others are like or not. You stop all your stereotyping once you come into Saucha. You stop all your racial discrimination when you come into Saucha. You stop looking at anybody based on their physical characteristics and attributes once you come to Saucha. Because you transcend all these bodily attributes. Saucha swa anga jugupsa paraira samsargaha, says Maharishi Patanjali. That was the epitome. He was the epitome of Saucha. He didn't need to have a bath. Now, of course, when he went to the toilet, he did wash himself, okay? For those of you who have those questions. But he never had a bath. But what he would do is he would get up in the morning, wash his face, go to the toilet, wash his face, and then he would take the vibhuti. He would make his own vibhuti. The vibhuti would be made by the herbs and the cow dung and all mixed and burnt and then sieved. And he had amazing vibhuti. The best smelling vibhuti in the world was Shankaragiri Swamigal brand of vibhuti. We have never been a business tradition. Otherwise, we would have made millions on Shankaragiri vibhuti. Huh? Like people do these days. Sell the soul. Huh? It's just mad what people sell these days. And he would take that vibhuti and he would rub it all over his body. His own vibhuti, and it was just amazing. The herbs that he had put together, the combinations and all. What a sweet smell. And every day, Amma used to say he walked 50 kilometers. I'm like, human beings cannot walk 50 kilometers in a day. So, I always say that's an exaggeration. But God knows how many kilometers he walked, because the Rangaya Madam is, at least 10 kilometers away from the nearest town. And he would go there at least twice a day for different things. So that's 10, 40. I'm like, Ananda, something's messing with your head. Because, it's just astonishing. He had no problem walking. In 90s, imagine, he was 90s. Till the end, till that 95, I don't remember him ever saying, "Oh, Ananda, I cannot walk, can somebody drop me there?" Well, if you, gave him a lift, he would take it, of course. But, walk. He was on a walkathon. And I don't know how many miles he would have clocked in his life, because walking. Such amazing fitness. And, to be with him was always tough. I remember we had sent up Gajendra to help him for a few weeks. So he had, in the Rangaya Madam, they have a full 10-day puja. The pujas at Kamli Swami Madam are the 1-day puja. But at Rangaya Madam, it's a 10-day puja with each day. From the first day, they put up the flag, the first night actually. The night before is the flag. This year I went there, and some of you would have seen some videos of that celebration. And then the last day is where it is brought down and they do what is called Sandana Kapur, where the sandal paste is put on the Samadhi. And each of the 10 days there would be a different person who sponsors it, and thousands would be fed and different rituals done. So what we would do, Amma would say, okay, this year we'll send someone to help him. And so they'll send Gajendra, they'll say Ramani or Mahendran or, somebody, or... like that. And then I remember Gajendran had gone, and Gajendran was like, "Oh my God, Swamiji, my legs are paining." Now at that time, remember, Gajendran was much younger than he was. He was in his 20s. And Gajendran used to say, "Oh my God, my knees are paining, my ankles are paining. I'm not going back there to Rangaya Madam. Swamiji, why can't we just get in the bus?" He's like, "No, the bus costs 2 rupees. No, we're not going by the bus, we are going to walk." So I don't know whether his walking was just to save money. I told you he was, oh my God. He and money, the way he used to bargain with guys, oh my God, they would end up crying. What an amazing human being. See, this is what spirituality is. Spirituality is being a real human being, not this, smiling guru who will stay on the rooftop and bless you from the window. That is such nonsense. Such nonsense. Real human being. Flesh, blood human being. And yes, throughout the Kamble Swami Madam cases, the government took over and then fighting the battle and going to the Madras High Court. So many times I remember us traveling to the Pondicherry courts, the Chennai courts together. And every time giving Ammaji and Swamiji that reassurance. Dharma will protect those who protect Dharma. It is said that Dharma Rakshita Dharma. When you live the Dharma, when you live your Dharma, Dharma will protect you. And that is why Ammaji used to say that he was the epitome of Dharma. That Shankaragiri Swamigal was the epitome of Dharma. And in fact, when we put him in the lingam after his Samadhi in 1995, and we put the lingam on his Samadhi, Amma said that is the Dharma lingam. Amma said that's the Dharma lingam. For Swamiji, we used to talk of the Yoga lingam, the Jnana lingam, and the Dharma lingam as the three important gurus of the tradition who keep the energy going. Dharma lingam, Shankaragiri Swamigal. A man who lived Dharma, he lived it completely with his imperfections, lot of imperfections. And this is not really the time. I asked Amma last night, should I tell them all his secrets? And she's like, no. But every one of us has imperfections. Every one of us has our flaws. But his greatness was such that, the sun was so bright, there was no shadow. And even these so-called imperfections, they pale away when you understand the light that shines through these people. Doing puja with him was always a lot of fun. Explaining what he was doing, how he is doing, why he is doing. Tie this. This is how you have to tie the dhoti. No, not that way. That is the way they tie it in the temple. This is not a temple, Ananda. Again and again, this is not a temple, Ananda. It is a samadhi of the Guru. Remember that. It is a samadhi of the Guru. It is not a temple. It is not a temple. And every time throughout that time, never giving up hope, Swamiji and Ammaji used to get reassured by him. He said, you are fighting for Dharma. Dharma will win. Satyame jayate, we say. Satyameva jayate. And whenever he would be with us, Swamiji would ask me to sing a song. Because in that song, the word Shankaragiri comes. So Swamiji used to always say, come on, Ananda, sing that song because he's here. Shankaragiri is with us, today. So why don't you sing it in your concert or sing it in the puja? He would be sitting there next to Swamiji at Kamble Swami Madam in the puja and enjoying the bhajans. And Shambho Mahadeva, Shambho Mahadeva, Shankar Girija Ramana, 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 Shambho Mahadeva, Shiva Shambho Mahadeva, Shambho Mahadeva, Sharanagata Janarakshaka, Ambolohalochanam Padambujam Bhaktiunde, Shambho Mahadeva, Shankara Girija Ramana, Shambho Mahadeva, Shiva Shambho Maha Deva Paramadaya Gara Mrugadara Hara Ganga Dara Dharani Surabhushana Tyagaraja Varahridaya Nivesham Surabhushana Tyagaraja Varahridaya Nivesham Surabrinda Giridamani Varani Rajita Pada Gopura Vasa Sundaresa Girija Bharat Para Baba Harashambho Mahadeva Shankar Girija Shambho Mahadeva Shiva Shambho Mahadeva Shiva Shambho Shiva Shambho Shiva Shambho Mahadeva Deva Deva. And Swamiji would have me sing this always because it sort of was associated with him, and that is why I sang it right now, because the energies of a Guru Shishya Parampara, the energies of the Guru Shishya relationship are beyond any modern definition. And we have got stuck with all this modern definition of relationships. Now imagine you can take all the known potential relations, father, mother, husband, wife, son, daughter, friend, foe, yes, foe also. You take all of these relationships and you bring them all together into one ball. That is the Guru Shishya relationship. That is the Guru Shishya relationship. It has everything in it. It has the relationship of father-son, mother-daughter, husband-wife, friends, foes, neighbors, everything you can think of. Everything comes into that. That is because it is a wholesome, Purnam relationship. You know, this whole idea that it's just a teacher-student relationship, it's crazy. We have limited it by putting it into a box. And this is why growing up, see, right from the time I was born, 1972 I was born, and I'm sure that even at that time they were interacting, because 1973 Swamiji did the puja because Shankaragiri was not well. So I was 1 year old, okay, 1973. Now, right from that time, 1975, I was 3 when Swamiji became the Madhadipati, and 1976 Swamiji anointed me as the next Madhadipati when I was 4. From the age of 4, this has been part of my life, okay? 46 plus years. Makes me sound old. "46 years of being officially taking this tradition forward." I remember many of our detractors used to say, "What does a 4-year-old kid know?" Well, I remember a lot of what happened when I was 4. I remember a lot of this. All of this molds me into what I am today. On one side, Swamiji, the lion, the dynamic energy, which had this scientific temper also, but scientific temper, clarity, passion, vibrancy. On the other side, Ammaji, with that beautiful artistic sensibility, poetic sensibility. And then Shankaragiri Swamigal, who gave me what this culture is all about. What is Saiva Siddhanta? What is the South Indian Shaivite tradition all about? What is the Siddha Yoga all about? What does it mean to live a life of spirituality? What does it mean to live a life of Dharma? Till 1995, at least 2+ decades of influence by this amazing man. What an influence, oh my God. Whenever he would come, because again, as I said, the language was what brought us together, because with Swamiji and Ammaji, he always needed that translator, and later on I started to become the translator. But, the moment you have a translator, there's always going to be a gap. Whereas with me, we could talk in Tamil and we could make jokes in Tamil. He would go on and then suddenly he would say, Purinjida, do you remember this? Do you understand this? And then he'll go back. I think this that I do, I got it both from Swamiji and Shankaragiri Swamigal. He'd be talking and in my panano, anga poyitte ipdi panano, adha pannite. Therida? I think I've imprinted on both Swamiji and him with that. யாரையும் விடக்கூடாது ஆனந்தா. இந்த குரு பரம்பரை நம்ம எடுத்து செய்யணும். Don't let others come in. Don't let anybody steal it. We have to stand up for it. We have to take it forward. அவன் எது வேணா பேசலாம்டா. They can talk whatever they want. அவனுக்கு என்ன? What does it matter to them? ஆனா நம்ம மனசு நொந்து போகக்கூடாதுடா. We should never lose heart. After Swamiji's Samadhi, I still remember that day, that 29th of December 1993, Swamiji left the body in the early morning at 2:20 a.m. Arudra Darshan, and 30th we brought him to Pondicherry to the Madam. And so 30th afternoon, I think we had come in the evening, Shankaragiri came. And I still remember him walking into the Madam, and his first statement is, Nada poya kuda idu illa. Came in and he said, I am the one who should have left the body, not him. But you know what? Because Swamiji left the body before Shankaragiri, Shankaragiri Swamigal guided me through all the rituals to be done as for Swamiji as a Madhadipati of the Madam. These again are different than the common rituals done for the common person. Now, if Shankaragiri Swamigal had left the body earlier, we would not have known what to do. But because he was still in the body, he guided me on what needed to be done for a Madhadipati, how a Madhadipati was to be interred in the Samadhi. That is why life has to do it in certain ways. What are the abhishekams to be done? What are the rituals to be done? What is to be put in the Samadhi? Because as some of you may know, or those of you don't know, Swami Geetananda Giri built all the Samadhis for everybody except me. He built his own Samadhi and said, this is where I should be. And then he built one for Ammaji, and then he built one for Shankaragiri. And he used to happily take Shankaragiri and Swamigal and say, that will be your Samadhi there, okay? Do you like it? And that's going to be your Samadhi. Do you like my design? So we knew where Swamiji was to be put. We knew where Shankaragiri was to be put. We knew where they were to be put. But how to put them in? What is the methodology? What is the rituals? What are the ceremonies to be done? What are the chants to be done? Well, all of that Shankaragiri Swamigal guided me for Swamiji. And I never realized that 2 years later, I would have to do those same rituals for Shankaragiri Swamigal. So he is teaching me how to do it for my father, enable me to also do it for him. Because after Swamiji's Samadhi, you see, Shankaragiri Swamigal had anointed Swamiji as the next Madhadipati, as a successor. Swamiji had anointed me as his successor. But then Swamiji left the body before Swami Shankaragiri left the body. And this is why then Swami Shankaragiri Swamigal, on the 13th of January 1994, it was the day after we had done the Moksha Deepam for Swamiji and done the Linga Pratishta with a Shiva Lingam brought from stone made in Mount Arunachala, Tirunamalai. That day, a legal ceremony was also done along with the religious one, where Shankaragiri Swamigal anointed me as his successor. So this is why recently in a quiz for my birthday, there was the question of who nominated me as the successor at Kambli Swami Madam, and everybody thinks it's Swamiji, but it's not just Swamiji, it's also Shankaragiri Swamigal. And so it's a sort of a triangle there. And for me, the center of that whole triangle is Ammaji. So 13th of January 1994, he anointed me as his successor and then continued our journey. And then 11th of June 1995, I was doing my second year medical training in Varda, JNMC Varda. We were having our send-up exams. I think that day the send-up exam was for forensic medicine. We had finished pharmacology, microbiology and pathology. And that day the exam was forensic medicine, and I got a call. The dean called me to his office and he said that there's been a phone call from home that you have to immediately go back because Shankaragiri Swamigal is no more. So immediately get a train, come back and putting him in his Samadhi as he had taught me how to do it. Men like Shankaragiri Swamigal are not found easily, especially nowadays where every Tom, Dick and Harry with orange becomes a Swami. Everyone who knows a few terms becomes a yoga master, a guru. People like him who had that simplicity, clarity, they were light. Pure light. For me, again and again, the signs of true greatness are humility, lightfulness, a bit of childfulness, I would say. To be a child at heart is a very important part of being great. To be light and to have humility, because when you know what exists, you cannot but be humble. When you don't know what exists, you think you know it all. And that is why humility, simplicity, clarity, love, sharing. People like Shankaragiri Swamigal have shown me that you can live a life like that. You can be that. It is not utopian. It is not utopian. It is not utopian. You can be that. One of the greatest influences in my life from my childhood, enabling me to understand this culture from inside, to understand this timeless culture of South India, our Dravidian Saiva Siddhanta culture, to understand the Siddha Yoga tradition within its context, I owe it all to Shankaragiri Swami. And that is why, to make sure that I don't forget to honor him, he made sure that his Maha Samadhi day comes on my 100th Scintillating Saturdays. These are not coincidences. I never set out. In fact, not till a few weeks ago did I even think of this day as his Maha Samadhi day, because mind was busy with many things, and a couple of weeks back suddenly I realized it. And that is why this month's Yoga Life, we honor him on the cover. The beautiful new painting done by Selva Kumar. Thank you very much for being with me today. Thank you for being with me over the past 100 weeks. We'll keep it going at least another 8 to 108. And then let us see what life has in store for us. Because life knows it all. We don't. Life knows it all. And as we grow, we realize that we are just here for this beautiful experience. Bhoga apavargatam drishyam, as Patanjali Maharishi so beautifully tells us. Have the experience and transcend it. That is why we are here. And these type of opportunities enable us to come together in Sangha. Thank you for being part of my yoga family. Thank you for being with me. Love each and every one of you unconditionally. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dhanyavadaha. Nandri Vanakkam. Thank you.